Welcome to Down to Dunk. I am your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Monday is my good friend, Michele Berra. Michele, what's up?
Well, I hoped for a game, and we didn't have a game. I woke up anyway. This is terrible. I woke up at 5 a.m. to watch the game, and just to read John's line, well, turns out, no podcast today.
Yep. Man. So, I was about to head out the door yesterday. I was fully dressed, ready to go, wearing nice clothes, as I only do when I go to Thunder games now, because that's the only place I go that requires it. I guess they really don't even require it, but I just like to, put on a little button-up shirt every now and then. Heading out the door, and then get the alert from Woj and Mark Stein and Shams Charania that the game has been postponed. So the Thunder don't play last night at home against Philadelphia, which was a real bummer because I would have liked to see Ben Simmons, because it would have been the Ben Simmons show last night, kind of see what he could do, especially post-trade, because I know pre-trade he was not performing well. And some people think it was because he was getting wind that he was basically on the block. And so maybe they can let him loose a little bit, but we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see on that. The Thunder did hold practice in place of the game last night. So they cleared the arena. From what I've heard, they cleared the arena, and then the Thunder went ahead and held practice where they scrimmaged and did practicey things. So it's cool. It's great. Didn't get to see it. Wish we could have seen it. Because that actually would have been pretty cool to stop and see what their practice was like. They could have broadcast that. Maybe that would have done some numbers there, Thunder. Come on.
I'm not sure they could do that, but I would love to see a practice, like full practice, just to see what it's like. I mean, it's not the blue and white scrimmage. I really want to see one single practice. I know that if you look at every single practice, maybe you get away your competitive advantage, but just one, just a single one.
Yes. Come on.
Yeah. I'd love to see
give us a peek behind the curtain, Thunder. Let's see it. Quick little shout out to the stream team. We got Jonathan from Sweden on here. We've got several people. We've got Garrett from Arkansas on the stream. We've got Christos from Greece, as always. We have Sam the Man from New Zealand. Thanks so much. Thanks so much for sticking with us, even after the Steven trade. We appreciate you being here. Hope everybody's doing well on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day here in the United States. My kids are out of school, so we spent the entire morning just discussing Martin Luther King Jr. and his efforts. And there's actually some pretty good content out there for kids on YouTube. So huge shout out to YouTube. And I hope everybody's doing great. Also, this news blessed our Twitter timeline this morning. Kevin Porter Jr. apparently got super duper miffed that they gave his locker to Taurean Prince, and he was apparently given the disrespectful spot of the locker room, which definitely does exist in a locker room. There are different corners of locker rooms that mean different things, and he was shoved in the, hey, maybe you're not quite a rotation player kind of corner, and he was mad, and apparently threw food. Most people on Twitter would like to know if it was soup, because there's been soup thrown in that same locker room before by a guy who's very similar to him and J.R. Smith, same position, same mindset. Just interesting that the Cleveland Cavaliers continue to have guys that throw food, that play the shooting guard position for them. But the main question is, with the news that they're going to either have to waive him or trade him, if you're the Thunder, would you take a chance on him, Michele?
I don't know. I trust the Thunder to be able to create a very good environment for a guy like Porter to develop, grow as a human being, like they did with Dion Waiters and Dennis Schroeder. I think that Dion and Dennis are two very different type of personalities. One, I think, was, he had like issues in Atlanta, but like serious issues. With Dion, though, you saw him in the first year in OKC and the second one, and then one good year in Miami. But then he came back to probably being just Dion. So I don't know if it's just OKC being able for a limited amount of time to deal with some sort of personalities. Because we also have the Mitch McGary example where, they kind of kept it quiet and he basically was shown the door and everything. Like, it wasn't disruptive, I would say, but it was not like a good development for him. He was really in a bad situation in terms of like not the Thunder, like he in terms of being a nice person that behaves and go to work and stuff like that. So I don't know. The talent is there. I mean, but what's the cost? I mean, if I have to pay, I would not spend anything to get him. If it's there and you have to say give away a second rounder, highly protected, just to try it for a couple of months and see, maybe. But I would not really make a trade with Cleveland. I would not give up Hamidou Diallo for him.
No, I wouldn't. No.
That cost me a lot, like to say that out loud, to give value to Ham. Which implies that he is worth more than a protected second rounder. I'm not sure how much.
Like, he at least works.
Oh yeah, clearly. No. This is in terms of the actual roster, the current roster of the Thunder, in terms of guys that are hard workers. It seems like constant between all the guys that are here, and this is like credit to the front office of picking the right personalities. And yeah, Hami clearly is working on his skills. Even the jump shots that I really hate to watch are going in and is clearly working on that. Well, going in at a certain rate, but it seems to be working on those things. The touch around the basket, he's improving. He's not just dunking, he's doing finesse around the basket. So I'm sure it's working like crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And Porter, he's got a ton of talent. He's a guy that I really liked. Just his talent in the draft process. There was word about this attitude way before he got to the NBA. I mean, it's been a thing that's followed him for a long time. So it makes me think there's just really no way the Thunder would actually do this. But Nate27, there's lots of proposals out there. There's lots of people in the stream that say, no way, wouldn't touch him. I totally get that. He says, Nate27 says Muscala for Porter and a second-round pick. So they would have to incentivize the Thunder to take on Porter, essentially.
And get another big man? How many do they have? You have 7?
Don't limit them on what they can do with big men. But that kills two birds with one stone. You get an asset back, and you get rid of just the anti-tank commander and Iron Man, Mike Muscala, who's trying to destroy the tank.
But instead of doing these trades that involving Kevin Porter Jr., why Cleveland? Like, I know that Cleveland has guards, but what about George Hill for Taurean Prince and whatever asset they want to give us?
Yeah.
Just to see. I mean, they're clearly ahead of the curve. They want to be better than what they are. Prince is not better than George Hill. It's just another contract that might help you win. George Hill is a vet that you can ship in the postseason if you want.
I don't think Prince helps you. I mean, Prince might be a nailor when it comes to winning games because he doesn't really defend, which would be great.
Yeah, no. It's great for us. I mean, it's another guy that you don't have to play. You can play Pokusevski ahead of him, and well, you see. I mean, you just have it out there, like Justin Jackson, another guy that when it's out there with the second unit, it's probably going to be bad. And if it's not bad, you reevaluate some player that may have value in the future. So,
yeah. No, that makes sense. James Anderson, 405 fan, says George Hill for Prince and Porter Jr. I need another asset. Like, Porter Jr. is not an asset at this point. If they're leaking to reporters that they're going to get rid of him one way or another, and it's either through trade or waiving him, that probably means they're going to end up waiving him.
Yeah.
I mean, if the cat's out the bag already on Porter, right? Also, why are the only Porters that are in the league? Both of them are Porter Jr. By the way, which is that's just a thing.
I don't know.
Just a funny thing. But yeah, he's likely to get waived, and then may spend. I don't know if he'll have to spend time in the G League or if there's a team that will just pick him up. But you don't have to give up anything for him.
No, absolutely.
In all likelihood, if you want him on your roster, just wait. Just wait.
Mm-hmm.
And the Thunder don't have a roster spot right now, but I would be surprised if they didn't expand these NBA rosters with what's been going on with these teams. Mm-hmm. If they want to continue to trudge through this season, which there is every single indication that that's what the NBA wants to do.
Yeah.
Is that this is the sacrificial lamb season. Let's get it over with, please. And I think, there are 3 Porters. You're right. There are 3 Porter Juniors. Otto, Michael, and Kevin. That is wild. Thank you, switching channels on our YouTube stream. That is very wild and weird. Never put that together until this very minute. But
I read something very offensive in the YouTube chat feed.
What's that?
Someone, Darius, how can you suggest Kenrich and 2 seconds for Kevin Porter Jr.? No. I love Kenrich.
I am close to just saying stupid things about Kenrich Williams.
But I don't care. I don't want even to qualify him as dude guy, like, I don't know, a random player. I just love the guy, how he plays on the court. I don't care about the results. He's a guy that I would love to have at the end of the bench, because if you need 5 minutes of awesome defense and athleticism and like knowing that he will not screw up, this is Kenrich. And is he worth $2 million? Probably not. But I'm sure that if you give Kenrich for free to Brooklyn, they will say, oh, really? Yeah, immediately. And even if they have to pay a second rounder, they will probably say, well, maybe yes, maybe not, because they need to be judicious with their second rounder since they have nothing to trade in the future. But a guy like that will play ahead of TLC and or Bruce Brown. Well, Brown, maybe not. I don't know. He will fight for minutes. So, no, Kenrich for not even straight up.
No, not even straight up. No, I wouldn't. I like him. Him. I need more time with him, but I like him. I like him a lot.
But the beauty is that you don't have to invest. Like this is a guy where you can say, I have no idea how he look like how he looks like in a very competent NBA team, and I don't care because we are not up to this point. So, and he's helping. He's clearly helping, which you can say it's good or bad for OKC. But if you put Justin Jackson in place of Kenrich, the second unit will not be as good. That I am very positive today.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, so our general take on Kevin Porter Jr. is just wait, and if you want him, maybe you can pick him up the scrap heap. If not, he's not really worth the struggle.
Yeah.
He's just not worth the struggle.
Yeah.
If the Thunder see something in him, they bring him in, great. But he's overall just not worth the struggle. The Thunder do play. Their Thunder hit the road for 5 consecutive games upcoming. They have Denver in Denver on Tuesday. On Friday night, they get the Clippers. And then on Sunday, they play the Clippers again. Then they turn right around the next day and play in Portland, second night of a back-to-back. That's a tough back-to-back. Portland has not been playing well. But to get them second night of a back-to-back off of playing the Clippers the afternoon before, that's tough. And then Phoenix to finish off is next Wednesday in Phoenix. So this road trip is really tough, and I feel like we can learn a lot about who this team is. I mean, honestly, if they get one of these games, I'll be pretty impressed.
Yeah, which means that they could end the trip 7-10. Is that? Yeah. They are 6-6 right now. Yes. So I would be. Yeah, I think that the likeliest outcome is that they win one.
Yeah.
Especially because you don't know who you're going to play. Like, will it be the Clippers without one of the stars, would be Portland without one of the 2 stars on the top of the guys that they are already missing. And then, I mean, if you take out Lillard and Nurkic, then all of a sudden, OKC is not that bad. Like, if they have the full roster to use, then, I mean, they can compete. I mean, they would not be favored by any means, but CJ plus Ennis plus Covington is not all that better than what OKC has.
No, I mean, you take away their very best player.
Yeah, exactly.
By a mile.
Yeah.
Then probably their third best player in Nurkic.
Yeah.
And and they haven't been playing well, period, so far this season. So that's a problem. But they also will likely not have Horford, the Thunder. I mean, they haven't had Horford because of personal reasons for him recently. But I think he'll be back with the Thunder on this road trip. But he'll likely miss that game in Portland. And that's that's one of the things that has led to this 6-6 record for the Thunder so far this season, is that they've mostly had their guys.
Yeah.
And that's these other teams like Miami's been decimated by coronavirus stuff. Obviously Philly has been a team that had to miss the entire game yesterday. So there's one advantage this season that teams will have if they can kind of lock down their players, is to just have a healthy team. A team that isn't a part of contract tracing.
Yeah, it doesn't really tell you how good that team is overall. It's just going to tell you that in the regular season, if you're healthy and you have all your players available, then you're going to win games. And yeah, this is it basically. This is why they have 6 wins by now. If you face the Brooklyn Nets on their own court with Kyrie and KD, there's little chances that you can really win that game. And yeah, I mean, you can make the case for other games that OKC ended up winning in the early part of the schedule. Again, I would not be worried, especially, well, if they go 3-2 somehow in this road trip, I will start to be really worried about the tanking thing. Because if you are with a positive record after this road trip, then you need to act like SAP. Probably you still have to. I mean, Portland is a team that might be interested in Horford. If you can concoct a trade to ship him there, it's hard. It's probably not going to be possible unless you trade Collins, Hood, and Cantor together, and probably you're not there yet. You need to include Nurkic. But can Portland, is it okay for them to lose another season of Lillard and McCollum? Because if you don't have Nurk, you cannot win. Full stop. There is no chance you can win.
Yeah, I don't know what they do. They're kind of stuck, right? Like that team is pretty stuck. And I thought the Covington move was good, but it's clearly not. Covington hasn't been great for them, and he's not really the guy. Obviously, he was not the real missing piece for that team. Also, it doesn't help that they're playing Carmelo Anthony and Enes Kanter on the same second unit in 2021. It's just not a great combo. Although Enes has played pretty well so far this season, but still, I just don't think that your defense is not going to survive. And they need better players around them. They need Kenrich Williams, for crying out loud.
Would you do Kenrich plus Horford for Collins, Nurk, and Hood?
Do you think they'd trade Nurk?
It's the second season. What's the prognosis? When he's going to be back?
Broken wrist. I don't know if it's 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Enough. But the point is, how many games did he play over the last 3 seasons? It is definitely a problem. It's a problem.
Is Horford the solution to your problem? Is the question that I would have. I don't know that I would have if I watched Horford all, 12 games, or what has he played? Yeah, 9 games this season, and been like, now that is what we need to be a better
No,
team.
for sure. This is not what you really need. And you can just say, well, ship out Hood and get George Hill, and probably you are better. But the point is, I don't know. Do you really? Maybe you just get Muscala and Hill for Hood. That is a trade that works, and you give OKC an asset.
Yes.
And in the meantime, you wait for Nurk to be back.
Yeah, that I like for them. I think Muscala has he'd be really good with them. I think. I mean, he's been really good with the Thunder, for crying out loud. He's been a guy that is, and I almost hesitate to trade him just because he has been such a good release valve for the young guys, especially for Maledon and for Poku. As they drive, he is always, and that's the thing with Muscala, he's always in the right spot. He's always spacing perfectly.
Yeah.
And that has legitimately helped those guys on the offensive end. Now you take him away, I think you're a worse team. Your second unit is quite a bit worse. And then those guys have to kind of figure it out a little bit differently. So I don't know if he's just a guy that you just want to keep around anyways. And you just, I don't think they're going to trade Horford this year, but if they do, then you just start Roby and you keep him on the bench. And that's proven to be fine, development wise, because I think a guy like Roby, who's more of a screen and roll kind of guy, is helpful to a guy like Shea too. Like, he's willing to set hard screens. Like, the dude legitimately scares me at times with the way he's willing to sacrifice his body.
He took pretty big hits.
And that Bulls, he was a big part of helping them win that game against the Chicago Bulls. Just because of his willingness to just dive on the floor and to set hard screens, and he took a charge that looked horribly painful.
And also, speaking about Muscala and the difference that the things that he brings to the court. I mean, Roby is not a bad shooter, but the spacing that Muscala provides is totally different due to the quickness of the release. Mike is not hesitating one bit. He's just letting it fly. If you give him 11 touches, it's probably 10 shots. Maybe 1 out of 10, he shuffles it away. And that provides you insane spacing. And it's so valuable. I mean, he doesn't give you defense almost at all. You need to surround him with good defenders and with principle. And this is not what OKC is doing with him out there. It's just, do whatever, and we'll try to be aggressive with guards, drop you a bit, maybe switching in some cases. But this is not what Muscala brings you. But if you have a guy like him on the court, then the space is just there for you. I mean, a guy like this in Brooklyn will be awesome. I mean, I love just Jeff Green. I mean, we all know what he did to OKC in the playoffs. But Muscala can be another guy that you just take in, and he will provide you minutes when you need the spacer. He can play 10 or 15 or 20, and he will shoot every single time you give him the ball. And he's a pretty good shooter. I mean, it's the third season that he's over 35, 36%. Maybe the last two even higher. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm sure it's pretty good.
Yeah, he's proven himself to be just a solid role player. A guy off the bench that just helps. So
exactly.
I think he'll be in the league for a while, just because, Steve Novak played in the league for a long time, just because he was that guy. And I think he's a little bit better than Novak. Maybe not a better shooter, but overall, I think he brings a little bit more to the court than what Novak did. His day. So, okay, Michele, let's move on. We have a Thunder stats deep dive here on the first 12 games of the season. We thought it would be 13, but it's only 12.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I prepared yesterday, so it would have been 12 anyway. No, I'm honest. And I think OKC is really weird as a team statistically, because they have some statistics that I don't understand, and others that I want. Well, let's start with some team statistics. They are 6th in 3-point attempts. This is clear. They are really trying to maximize their points per possession by shooting a ton of threes. We just spoke about Muscala. It's not just him, it's everyone. When you I don't think that there is a player without a green light from three. Even Diallo can take any threes that he wants. I'm not sure that there is a guy that has no green light, which
Totally
is
agree. Totally
which
agree.
is a good way to again kill the variance and play the variance to your odds. There are nights where you shoot 40% and you just win. Now the other category where it's clear that they have purpose in its drives. They are first in drive per game and first in free throws out of drives. This was kind of surprising to me because they are at the free throw line a bunch, but not too much. And when I checked the overall numbers, they are 19th in free throw attempts overall. So it basically means that either they are driving and getting to the free throw line, or they cannot get there, which is kind of surprising. It may be that they are not in the bonus very often, and when they are not really trying to get the best of it. And this is something that I remember discussing with John early in the season about Shai. I mean, last season, when Chris Paul knew that OKC was in the bonus, it was automatic. Just trying to get fouls.
Just go ahead and add 4 points to the board for the Thunder.
Exactly.
Bonus. Yeah.
But those are important things that OKC is not leveraging right now. And I don't think it's very hard to adjust to it. And this is scary because if you think that they are already they are a bad offensive team and an okay defensive one, there is a clear way to improve what they're doing offensively by trying to get to the line a lot and leverage the bonus. And I think that also Shai, who is probably the best at driving the basketball as of now, he's not getting calls, which is something that I think as soon as Zach Lowe or someone like that writes a very good article on Shai about how good he is at driving, then things may start changing a little bit. So I'm a little bit scared about this free throw, which is like something that can improve OKC's offense by 2-3 points per 100 possession in a very, very easy way. They are also third in catch and shoot opportunities. They are not shooting very well out of those, 51% effective field goal, which is 21st in the league, but they are taking a ton of those opportunities. And again, not just threes, but they're also taking twos that are from catch and shoot opportunities. Mike Muscala over the last few games is placing himself on the baseline. Maybe Horford is doing that as well. And these are shots that you don't necessarily like, but those are okay. On the contrary, they are very, very low in pull-ups, 27th in terms of volume, and they are quite bad in terms of efficiency, 44%.
Yeah.
Last
is like who pulls up? I mean, Shai.
Probably Shai, Diallo. Dort did that.
We've had a few Dort pull-ups. Yeah.
That still drives me crazy. That a guy like him who couldn't keep his leg under the under his body when he was shooting threes at Arizona State. Yeah. Now is getting pull-up attempts, and they look good.
Man, he was so good against the Bulls. He was unreal on both ends.
Yeah.
He was obviously Shai was spectacular, and like Shai was like the true catalyst behind that comeback. But Dort just hitting threes and playing hard defense and getting steals from that Bulls team, and they've gotten some good wins this year, but the Bulls just completely let go of the rope once they got up 20. I mean, they just completely let go.
Is this a Billy Donovan thing?
I don't know. It could be. It definitely could be. But I think it's also the Bulls don't have a point guard or like a steadying force on their team at all, right?
Yes, but I always had the feeling that Billy Donovan's team were prone to this issue. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just like recency bias and the fact that when it happens, you clearly remember it. When it doesn't, you clearly forget about it. And Russ's MVP season was full of comebacks. So maybe I'm just making this up in my mind. But I cannot shake off like a few teams where like it's not that Billy was doing something great to help them. Not even against Chicago. I mean, you see 2 threes going in, just call a timeout.
Yeah.
And if it happens again, call another. Like,
there are some
it
things
was
that could
not
have been
like
done.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just don't foul Shea once he gets to the rim when you're down 3, when your team's up 3. Like, just don't foul him. Let him shoot it. Just let the guy shoot it. If he makes it, you're still winning and you have the ball. And then you get fouled, you get to play the free throw game, and you get to see how it plays out. Instead, they foul him, and a lot of that goes credit to Shea.
Yeah.
And that was a gutsy move. I mean, I watched that play over and over again, and I'm just kind of baffled. He just kind of snaked around inside the lane and got that shot off and fouled and made it. But let's say he didn't get fouled and he just makes it. Yeah, you still put yourself at better odds to win. But man, I'd say almost every other team in the league takes a 3 in that moment. Like almost every other team. But credits to Shea for getting fouled and getting the win for the Thunder. But that was gutsy. It was super gutsy.
Yeah, I have a few stats on Shea. I don't know if we should stop the Thunder talk and focus a little bit on Shea right now, since you mentioned him.
Yeah.
It's the 4th time that I'm banging my head against the microphone, and it's probably, well, anyway, it's whatever. I'm hungry. I still need to have dinner, so let's blame you on the carbs that I'm missing. So, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, the offense is, according to Cleaning the Glass, 17.8 points better when he's on the court.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Can you guess his stats over the last 5 games? Because I was looking into trends. Cleaning the Glass is an awesome site, and if you love the NBA, you just have to subscribe, because not only you get really great stats that you cannot get anywhere else with that particular idea that Ben Falk has, but right now they are doing some like some online course how to watch games, which is great, and again you can learn a lot. But anyway, I was looking into trends, and basically everything was trending up for Shea over the past few games. But can you guess is points per game average, number of shots, and free throw attempts per game?
Points per game, 28 points per game, 15 shots per game, and 7 free throws per game.
You were very close on the attempts, 14.2 and 6.8. Points, not quite, 25.2.
Okay.
On 69.7 effective field goal. That's insane.
The perfect percentage.
Yeah, and be aware, this is regular NBA stats, the one that of the last 5 games.
Yeah,
almost 70% effective field goal. He was crazy efficient, and this. I always, when I watch Shea, now I have Alex Pierce's voice in my mind that always asks me, what is he great at?
Yeah.
And he mentioned over on Wednesday pod, I think, about free throws and the fact that he's good in drives. I think that Shea could be a very, very efficient scorer, which is what you want when you have an alpha guy that takes, 25 shots. You want the second guy to be extremely efficient. Now, I'm not yet convinced that Shea's destiny is to be number 2. Maybe it will be number 2 in OKC. Mm-hmm. But to me, even if it's very unlikely, I would put it at 5%, maybe less, that he's the guy. The last 5 games, if you look, if this is Shea, and clearly 5 games is not a very good sample to determine who Shea is, then he is quite good at doing a lot of stuff, including involving his teammates, because his main focus is not scoring for himself, but he's being dangerous enough to manipulate the defense and create for others. And if your best player on the court is doing that, you're in a very, very good spot.
Well, and that 5 games also includes a stinker against the Lakers, where
he
wasn't very good. So it's not just like 5 outlier games for him. Yeah, I honestly still hold to the fact that I think that he's not going to be a number one guy for this Thunder team, but what he did against Chicago was impressive. And he took advantage of, frankly, a really bad Chicago defense.
Yeah.
I mean, they were allowing him to do whatever he wanted. They're just chasing him around. And he recognized that and he took advantage. And that's the thing to me that is really impressive about him, is that he, this season in particular, is reading the defenses really well. Yeah. And is figuring out, like, picking his spots. And against the Bulls, it was like, okay, I'm going to go get mine because they're going to give me whatever I want. And he did. Yeah. Against the Spurs, he was going at them, and then their defense adjusted. And with the adjustment, he made his adjustment and was like, okay, well, I'm going to go find my teammates. Yeah. And it didn't end up working out for them in the win category, but it did show an ability in Shai to change and to adapt to the defenses and to try to find the holes in the defenses. And to me, that's really impressive. Now, I think we'll learn a lot about who Shai is and who this team is over the course of this road trip.
Yeah.
Because
definitely
playing against Chicago, playing against the Spurs team, playing against kind of a depleted Brooklyn team, playing against the Knicks. Okay. It's good.
Did you just call KD depleted?
I'll call him depleted for the rest of my life. Yes, absolutely. Depleted of a soul is what that man is. I would say that we'll learn a lot about who he is over the course of the next 5 games, because mostly they played bad teams except for the best team. And against the best team, he wasn't so good.
Yeah.
So let's see. Like, Denver is a good team. Like,
yes,
they're a really good team. The Clippers have been great. That's honestly one of the things that has kind of gone under the radar, is how good, like, Paul George and the Clippers have been. You don't hear a lot of talk about that, mostly because I think people don't want to talk about how good Paul George is.
Yeah, they don't trust them.
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah,
good on everybody. And then Portland is solid, and then Phoenix has been really good this year. Yeah. So let's see. And I also, that Phoenix game, be sure to tune in. Him versus Chris should be really fun.
Oh, yeah. It was already fun against Dennis.
It was fun against Dennis, yeah. Just to watch those two, and to watch him versus Chris Paul is going to be a really fun matchup. So, yeah, maybe we give 2 weeks, right? Like, we got 2 weeks to kind of digest a little bit more from Shai and see. Because if he's averaging 25 points by that time, over the course of those 5 games, then I'd be like, okay, now let's really reevaluate. Like, let's actually sit down and reevaluate. Because now we've had, like, a large enough sample size, right? Like, or at least we're close enough to a large enough sample size where we can say, okay, maybe we do need to reevaluate the future of what he could be to this franchise. But still, as of today, I would say that and even I don't even know if I said this before. I probably did. That I don't even know if he's a great number 2, and I think that he's clearly proven to be somebody that can be that. And it also makes the rebuild a lot faster. Like, this rebuild is happening, and it's going to happen, and it makes it faster if you have a guy that's a top 2 or 3 guy on your team already.
Yeah, exactly. And what you have to keep in mind is that last season, Shai was probably, when you had him and Dennis and Chris Paul on the court, number 3 guy in terms of pecking order and in terms of who the defense is going to guard for real. Against the Spurs, you could see, like, Shai was number 1, number 2, and number 3 priority for them. And now he's getting that treatment from competent defenses, like not the Chicago Bulls, because they don't have really good defenders, but against the Lakers, it's probably your best defender on Shai. And this is important. You have a very good player. They're surrounded by average talent. Some players are, like, on the right path, like Lu Dort, but defenses will not take Lu Dort seriously when you have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the court. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe by the end of the season, Lu Dort will have gravity enough to give Shai some space. But this is a real test for Shai as a number 1 guy. He's playing like a number 1 guy now. This does not correlate very well to winning, also because of talent. But it's correlating better than what I expected to winning.
Yeah.
Because another stat that I want to point out, and then it's a question for you. the clutch numbers are still great for Shea. Last season, he was very good. He was second on the team behind Chris Paul. And now he's scoring 22 points per game, 51 effective field goal, and almost 6 free throw attempts. 57% effective field goal in clutch time. Not too many possessions as of today, but a good chunk. So you have a guy that is clearly good in clutch moments and that is carrying a team by himself. This is something to me. And again, I'm not saying that he is an alpha or he's the main guy. And even if he is, there's no guarantee that if you're not like a top 2, top 3, top 5 player, then it's rarely correlating to winning, even if you are like a franchise player like Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal was the number 1 guy, but I don't think that a team with Bradley Beal as number 1 player will ever win a title. Same with Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, we're seeing that with. I mean, he's been able to put up tremendous numbers, but the Wizards haven't been good in a long time.
Exactly. So, and again, having a number 2 like Shea, I think would be awesome in the future. And the more I watch him, the more I think that a guy like KD with that skill set, like a tall, long guy that can curl off screen and shoot from wherever without the need of having the ball in his hands, is the perfect pairing for a guy like Shea.
Yeah. Well, it also makes me more excited. Like if the Thunder did get into the top 3 and Evan Mobley fell to them.
Yeah. His
ability to, like I said earlier, read defenses and to find guys and to be a point guard, because I didn't know if he was. Honestly, I don't think the Thunder knew before this season exactly what he was, and they're going to give him every chance to be that. And he's already proven pretty early on that, like, oh, okay, like that's there. I don't think that you can question that's there. And so I think it would make me more confident in bringing in a guy like that who's going to be a good pick and roll, pick and pop partner for him. And right now, like Horford is just, whatever is going on with Horford, it's just not, it hadn't been there so far this season. And so if you add an elite talent at the big spot next to him, and you have an elite shooter on the wing like Lou Dort, there's your recipe.
Seriously, though, I'm starting to question my ability to evaluate anything because Lou Dort,
dude, I know
Lou Dort shooting. I know that I bet you 29.5%, but I bet you 29.5.
You did.
I'd say, well, maybe he will end up being a 32.5% shooter, and it was really like. It was a bold take.
I thought you were nuts.
Exactly. But this, no, this was not in my mind at all. Like, he's taking pull-ups from 3, not just from mid-range, which is probably harder. But that guy is incredible. And doing that plus being the best defender out there every single night,
and I'll tell you this: there is more to Lou Dort still. The Lou Dort story is a tremendous one, and I feel like from what I've seen this year from him, there is a lot more to uncover with this guy. He's not just 3-and-D. I firmly believe that. I don't know if he can get to an elite level. He
doesn't want to be that.
No, he wants to be great, and I don't know. It's going to be very fun to watch. I mean, he's still very, very young, and he went from a guy that I thought, okay, he's a nice role player on a contending team. No. I think there's a lot more than that.
Yeah. One point from the chat about Shea, and then I'll ask you a few questions. Jesse Smith asked, is usage rate too low? Probably, possibly. I had the feeling that in 1 or 2 games he could have, I don't want to say look for himself a little bit more, but kind of. I mean, in some sense, sometimes being a little bit more involved at the end of the games and just taking a little bit more of responsibility may free up space for others better. So by doing a little bit more from you, and I'm not saying taking 25 shots a game,
Yeah.
but maybe you settle around 15 as an average. I think that the last 5 games, in terms of free throw attempts and field goals, which are 14.2 and 7, almost 7, these are the right numbers for Shai. I don't expect him to have 70% effective field goal on those, but
You don't?
no, I don't. But yeah, I think that these are the right numbers, and I think that with that, the usage rate could go a little bit higher.
Yep. Don't disagree. What's up, Penny? We got Bangelo up here on the chat. Welcome to our little lunch chat or dinner chat. Although I haven't had lunch and McKelly hasn't had dinner. So
yeah. Can you guess? First question for Andrew. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm always ready.
Okay. Yeah. Can you guess the net rating of the team when either Isaiah Roby or Justin Jackson are on the court and Hill and Horford are on the bench?
-7.
250 possessions.
-7.
Okay. Are you really thinking that Justin Jackson could have just -7 as net rating?
I'm trying to be nice. That's New Year's resolution.
Try again. Look at my face and try again.
Negative -15.
20.6 net rating. Amazing. And now something that I never thought it was true, could be true, but it is. Can you guess the only 2 lineups with positive net rating and over 100 possessions for OKC? You will get one.
Starting lineup?
Yes, +1. You need to guess because you will never get to the full lineup. But among 5 names...
How many possessions?
I think
doesn't matter.
A little bit above 100.
Okay.
So not well, it's a tiny sample size, but not super tiny.
Yeah. Starters.
You need to get 3. Think out of the box. I said you will never guess it. So you need to guess at least 3 players in order to win this contest.
Oh, no.
Come on.
Positive. Hami, Muscala.
Yes.
Teo?
Yes.
Okay. Did I win? What do I win?
Gone. Come on. Oh, now you can get them. You can guess them. Come on.
Okay.
Who's the guy we were discussing before? Who's really good at doing one thing, but it's not a starter?
Kenrich?
And the last one, our guy, the guy of Magic.
Dort?
No, not
Poku.
Poku, yes. So Teo Pokusevski, Mike Muscala, Diallo, and Kenrich Williams are +7.3 in 100 possession.
Whoa!
Which is,
how many possessions is that?
I think it's 100 and change, but I can check if you want.
I mean, that is interesting.
Yeah,
and
because that lineup plays defense.
That's what I was about to say. Is that with Poku, who has been pretty solid as a defender, doing what he can. Kenrich Williams is a freaking truck. Maladon will compete. Muscala's competing, and then you have just the agent of chaos and Hamidou Diallo. Yeah. That is that's a wild lineup. And that's one of the most that's the time where I perk up during the game, right? When those guys are out there, I'm like, oh, okay. Like my interest is peaked with that group in particular.
Look, I'm trying to watch not just the Thunder, because even if I don't have real time to dedicate, I'm trying to wake up really early to watch NBA.
Yeah.
And I was watching, I think it was Brooklyn against Orlando, just to see how James Harden would play. Nothing compares with watching Shai and Poku together on the court. I just want to see Pokusevski. It's not something reasonable. I know that I'm being unreasonable.
Yeah.
It's Kevin Durant and James freaking Harden. And when Poku steps on the court, I'm genuinely super duper into watching him develop into a player.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I cannot help myself. It's like Jay. Whenever Poku's on the court, I'm there. I'm just.
Hey,
I love that.
The possibilities are endless. I mean, they're literally endless with him. Anything could happen. He could take the ball off the rim and go dunk it on the other end, or he could throw the ball into the stands where there would be normally people. But actually, was this a preseason game? I can't remember. But
when
the ball was
thrown
into the stands on like the end where the ball is, and it had to roll back down to whoever it was against the Jazz. It was Donovan Mitchell. Now I'm remembering it. Yeah, it was hilarious.
He was calling for the ball.
Yeah, he was like, "Come on." That's a Poku. That's a Poku one. I don't know. I don't think that was Poku, but that's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, there was another play which was like so off for the NBA standards, where he basically tried to pass the ball and he went over the backboard or on the backboard.
Into the backboard. I was there live. It was like genuinely shocking to everyone that was in. I mean, what are there like 45 people in the building? Like we're all like, oh, okay.
What is happening with this guy? And yet, like he is improving night in and night out.
Yeah,
and I'm convinced the more catch and shoot opportunities he gets, the better for his 3-point shoot, 3-point percentage. Because I think that the shot is there.
Yeah. What do you say to people that hate his form?
That I attribute most of it to a lack of strength. The fact that he's launching the ball with his full body is because he's not strong enough to be able to remember. Like again, I need to stop myself comparing KD to Pokusevski.
Yeah, you should, but
I should.
Continue.
But yes. So take out everything except for the body type. Yeah. KD had issues, like real issues, lifting when he was. I don't remember how many lifts that was. It was 90, probably 90 pounds, maybe less, 80 pounds that he couldn't.
85 pounds, maybe. I don't know.
Something like that. Which is something that like anyone with reasonable training can do, even at a younger age.
Yeah.
Poku is not strong enough, and KD had issues shooting threes early in his career, also because of the lack of strength. He was way more comfortable shooting from, like I would say, a closer range. You can go ahead and look at the number of attempts, and you will see. Well, it was a different basketball back then, but in college, KD was shooting from three. So it's and Poku was doing it with a different motion in Europe. So I really think that being 3 feet back compared to Europe is doing a lot in terms of you need a little bit more strength, and he's not fully controlling that motion. You can see that some of it is there also in the pull-up game, but some is not. Like the legs are just all over the place when he shots from deep, and yeah. So
yeah, James Anderson says it was 185 pounds.
Oh,
you couldn't do it once.
Well, I'll trust you. I thought it was lower than that. But anyway,
I did too. But
185 seems something okay. I mean, I'm not sure everyone in the draft could do that.
It's heavy. It's very heavy.
I cannot do that.
Yeah, I can't do
not now. Not now. I used to when I was doing like other stuff in my life. But now.
Wow.
And yeah, I was doing martial arts when I was 18. Judo.
Everybody better watch out for
McKelly. I'm not that guy anymore. But they made me lift when I was younger, and then I quit because it was not my thing.
I'm excited to watch Poku against the Nuggets. I think that'll be a really fun matchup because they don't really have any. I mean, they don't. That's the fun thing about the Nuggets. They don't really have any defenders, and so
Yeah, we'll see. I wonder how Shea does against that known defense.
Yeah, I am very intrigued as well. I think that we could have a big Shea game in Denver tomorrow night.
We'll see. Time to get home.
You have other questions for me, or is that it?
Can we get some food? Does that qualify?
Yeah, that definitely qualifies. I would like to go get some food as well. Again, the Thunder play. Let's see, Denver Clippers. What's your prediction for their record, Michele? Before we talk
for the next 5, 1-4.
How about just the next 3? We'll talk again on Monday before the Portland game.
0-3.
0-3. Yeah, that's my prediction too. Denver's good. I watched. They lost to the Jazz last night, but they're good. Like,
we don't have to. Yeah,
just so good.
Yeah, quickly. The 29th ranked defense in post-up. That is OKC. Or 27th. Something like that. And Jokic will not fool around. I mean, this is the classic game where either he, for some reason, is taking 3 shots, but I don't think it's the case because they need to win. And Malone will tell him, just go down there and just score every single time. And Jokic is a very, very, very good post-up player. And OKC has no one that can guard him. Maybe Dort can do the best job. This is a real take because no one can guard in the post. Horford, maybe, but it's probably not. Is it already known that he's not part of the road trip, or there is still chances for him to play? Horford, I mean.
I don't know. I don't know for sure. I think there's still a chance that he plays.
Well, if he's there, then yes, he's the best defender. But the second best is really Lu Dort.
Yeah, definitely. We hadn't even said the name Darius Bazley on this podcast. I don't think he's in like a little mini slump here after having like really nice 3-game stretch. This is called being a young player. So if you're like, you can't be on again, off again with him. You just have to know it. This is called being a young player, and this is what happens with young players that aren't elite or they're not elite yet. This is just what these guys are. So just continue to watch. He'll bounce back. He'll have a good game in the next 5 games, and you'll be back on again. But just don't ever jump off because I think he's a good player. Yeah,
he is, and probably with better. I think that he needs to take a little bit more of a focus on his shot selection, because over the past 5 games was not good at all. And maybe trying to get to the easy things first, and if it is your night, then trying to expand. Maybe he was not the guy who showed up in New York and or Orlando, where he could just getting anything he wanted. Maybe he's not that guy. Probably he's not that guy. But if he's a little bit more judicious with his shot selection, I think that the efficiency will come up again.
Yeah. Also, the ankle has been a problem too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thanks so much for listening to our show. Hope you guys follow us on Twitter at Down to Dunk. You can follow Michele on Twitter at Mikey Barrow. You can follow me on Twitter at Andrew K. Schlecht. Go to theathletic.com/down to dunk and get The Athletic for $3.99 a month. You can go read the story about Kevin Porter Jr. on The Athletic, and go read the story today that was released by Sam Amick and Kelly Iko about the unfolding of the James Harden trade from Houston to Brooklyn. It's very, very good. Lots of details in there that you can't get anywhere else. So make sure that you go do that. And you can also get this podcast ad-free. So if you like all the Athletic podcasts, there's tons of very, very good ones. You should be listening to the Athletic NBA Show, the Daily Ding. You can get all of those ad-free with a subscription for just $3.99 a month. That's just not very much. That doesn't seem right. Can that be right? Is that a misprint? I don't think it is. Go check it out. I hope you guys have a great day. We'll talk to you again on Wednesday.